We're going to be moved by music and we must not clap. It's like, oh, come on. Like, I think that some of these things are very...
ridiculous. I'm going to say it.
It's ridiculous, and it's just in the opposite direction of how a lot of the people that I hang with would like to enjoy something. So it's like, okay, fine, I'll sit here if that's what we must. Mm-hmm. But wouldn't you rather know that that was lit? Like, yes. Wouldn't you rather hear me make a little, Can I snap like we had a poetry performance? Can I at least do a little bit of that?
Kiesha, welcome to Unmute the Voices. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here at our space, Key to Change, who is our sponsor. We're so glad to have you here to have this conversation with us.
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you exist.
I'm glad you exist too. That is so sweet. You are the founder of Hey Black Seattle. And basically, in short, it's an organization that helps Black people know about other cultural experiences that they can have from a Black person perspective here in this city. You also have a cause within Hey Black Seattle that really wants to keep Black people here.
Yes.
Because Black people move to Seattle and then within a year or two move. Why are they moving?
Ooh, I call it the revolving black door. Like, people move here. A lot of folks come here for economic opportunities. Maybe it's a job, whatever, military. Lots of different reasons that people come here. But, and also being a person who moved here 10 years ago for a job opportunity, I know firsthand what's happening. People are coming here and not connecting to the Black community and the Black culture that they are used to from wherever it is that they were from, and then making an assessment that this isn't sustainable. I can't find the community that I need to feel like I'm going to be okay, that my family's going to be okay, so I have to leave and go find that somewhere else. Maybe it's back where they used to live. Maybe it is just going to try something that they heard was better for Black people, but they're making that judgment about Seattle, and I hold that judgment is oftentimes premature, or just with incomplete information, because there is a very deep Black history here. There are people with deep roots here, and there are a lot of people who are doing big work to preserve Black culture and the heritage of our people. And I think that because of the unique conditions of Seattle being among the top 10 whitest cities in the country, you get here and you don't feel that Black presence is here. And you hear there's no Black people in Seattle. And then you look around you and you're like, well, that must be true. And then you leave to save yourself and your family. But as you pointed out, Hey Black Seattle is here to help with that. I like to call it the digital hub for Black life in the Puget Sound.
Okay. So what all do you guys do in order to help keep Black people in Seattle?
At the core of the work is this database that we are building, and it's got about, I want to say 500 or so entities in it right now. And it's meant to be a way to make it super, super easy for Black people to find whatever it is that they would like to do or have, but have it connected to a Black entity. So let's say you wanted to hike with Black people. You go to heyblackseattle.com. You search in the hiking category, and it will show you the community organizations that offer that with our community in mind. Let's say you are a parent who's like, I would love to put my child in a beautiful music program, but I am being mindful that I would like it to be Black run or an organization that is very specifically trying to do this for the community. You go to youth programs, and you discover in that list of community organizations, Key to Change. That is the idea, for people to be able to more quickly find, it's like shortening their time to community. Because when you move here, or maybe you're from here and you just don't know all the new things that are popping up, it can take a very long time to find the thing, the niche little thing, the classical music program, the hiking program, the ceramics program. I am trying to make it easier for us to have all of these things cataloged in one place. And I'm gathering Black attention in this place so that we can talk to each other a little bit more directly and cut through some of the noise.
I'm curious, though, for those who aren't Black, who look at Hey Black Seattle, can they also go to the website and say, well, I'm not Black, but I want a Black experience. Can I have access to this website, or is it just exclusive to only Black people?
The website is on the open web. So if that was the feeling that you have, you just love Black people that much, it does make it easier for everyone to find us. That said, that's not who it's targeted to. And being blunt, it's not being targeted to anybody that wants to have a Black experience. I get that it does make it easier for people to find us in that regard. However, who I'm talking to are people who need a Black experience because they are Black people who are trying to thrive and exist on the margins of this society, and there aren't these spaces in bounty for us. So I want us, Black people with connection and a life inside of Blackness, to be able to find Black experiences. And so, like I said, folks want to use it in that way and show up because they just really love. I know people love us. We are amazing. But there it is. But I'm not talking to them directly.
I appreciate that because, I mean, when you look at the Central District, that's been gentrified, right? And trying to hold on to its Black roots in that sense that now there is this influx of people who come to the Central District who want to have that kind of Black urban experience, which then shuts Black people out. Yeah. Right. And so I appreciate hearing that comment from you because it's important for Black people to be able to go to spaces where they can see themselves.
And let me add to that there are people who are not Black who have been involved in helping me with getting Hey Black Seattle off the ground, ideating, sharing things, showing up and doing work. The way that typically works best is when the person is not trying to get something for themselves. They're not trying to get an experience for themselves. They're really like, I hear you, Kiesha, and all the things you just said about why this is important for the Black community makes sense to me. Let me support you in what you're building for the community. And you would probably never even seen these people around me because they're not the type of people who need that kind of credit for their support of the community. They're just like, this is important. And I support you in it, but I don't need to now come disrupt the space with my presence.
Advocacy,
true allyship that's not centering your own experience and your needs over the needs of the people you're trying to help.
You know, I'm so glad that you brought that up. Talk to me about, we know what the disadvantages of bad allyship are, but what are the advantages, not just for the Black person who is getting the help and the support from non-Black people, but what are the benefits for those who aren't Black to become allies?
Well, I think that if you believe in the well-being of the people that you want to help and be an ally to and support, I'm going to say help. If you want to support the people that you want to be an ally to, because it's coming from a really educated place of what harm has been done, you would see the impact of the harm to those people, the marginalized people, on the world. You would understand that this is not just for them. This is for the betterment of all of us. And so anytime that you extend your privilege, your resources, whatever the case may be, to another marginalized community, you are investing in the world that you should want to live in. A more equitable world, a world where we're not putting people on a ladder of value that requires cycles of harm for you to stay up here. Like, you should want the whole ladder broken for a better world. So it's like, when you think about it, it's like, oh, I shouldn't be like, what's the benefit that I'm going to see if I help a Black person out in this world? It's more like, I'm contributing to a better world. And so that's the benefit, how I see it.
I agree with you. That is beautifully said. And it's not, it then becomes more holistic and not transactional. You know, there are many disparities that Black people face, especially in spaces of their careers where people are not accustomed to seeing them. We see it in elite sports, professional spaces, and in the fine arts. What change do you believe needs to happen so that people begin to feel more comfortable with seeing Black people in non-traditional spaces?
I've gone back and forth with myself about the benefit to me as a Black person participating in non-traditional or so-called elite spaces, because, you know, sometimes that just means, okay, traditionally white space, and I am now coming in here to disrupt with my presence, my very existence, my breath that I breathe in the room is going to be and feel like a disruption to this space. And when you are a disruption to a space, there's a whole bunch of impact that comes back to you. You're going to take some impact negatively because you're now a disruptive presence in the space. I think that honesty about that dynamic is needed, because people will say, oh, well, you know, we have diversified. You here. Yay. Look at what we have done.
Right.
And then not done the next layer of questioning of the institution. Well, why did it take so long for somebody to be here? Let's pause and ask a question. Okay. It's like most of the time when people are being honest with themselves, they know the answer to why it took so long. So you don't have to even have that meeting. Why we got to have that meeting? Fine, have the meeting. Take months and years to decide. I guess maybe there's some racism in here. It's like, okay, fine. Okay, we had to have that moment. Okay, we sitting here waiting. Okay, you got that part. Then let it stick, because sometimes people have these really short memories about we have come to this place, but then like a couple months later we forgot. Did you forget that this is what we all agreed was happening here? So I think there's just some engagement dishonesty. It just feels really like we're playing this shell game with us. Of like, yep, it was, we acknowledged it, but then we didn't do anything about it. And this, okay, we acknowledged it, we did a little something about it. Wait, you're not happy still? Like the realities don't seem to be sinking in. And I think that is an American problem. I think we have been trained to operate in delusion as a society. There's so many harmful things happening every single day. You can look no further than what's happening in schools with the children having to like pretend that that's not a dangerous place to go.
Well,
we operate in the delusion and we convince ourselves, you know what, this is going to be fine. I'm going to send my kid in here every day. I shouldn't feel scared. We should be terrified based on the facts. We operate in this delusion all the time. And it's no different in these elite spaces where they have even more incentive to like hold on to the delusion, because that means you don't have to make yourself uncomfortable or adjust anything or move a resource around here or there. You don't have to do anything additional if you can just operate in the delusion. So I really think that step one for what needs to change is people need to get real. Just stop deluding yourself. Be honest. Like,
why are so many people not honest? What do they have to lose?
Because there's an inertia to just like, I'm going to live the way I've been living. And some people have gotten so used to the world as they see it that they almost probably some fear of having to be confronted with like the truth of the impact of what their life causes in someone else's life. And maybe, I don't know enough people like this, but some just really don't care. And they're presenting as if they care, but they actually don't. It's like, so I think that people feel that they have resources to lose, comfort to lose. And these are old conversations, but they're still true. People don't want to be inconvenienced and make a change, even in the face of knowing that their flow causes great disparity, great oppression. to others. And I want to accept that role. And again, I say this knowing that as a human being who happened to be born in America, so many of the beautiful things about my life cause great disruption and oppression and violence upon people all over the world. So it's like we're not asking anything that everybody don't have to do here. All of us have to do this consideration about what is the actual impact of the delights of my life that have been Americanly blessed to me. What's being protected through violence and oppression in my life. People don't want to sit with those questions, because then that means I gotta not have my iPhone or my whatever. Like, just levels of that.
Unmute the Voices is sponsored by Key to Change Studio. Key to Change Studio is a violin and viola studio located in Renton, Washington, which allows middle and high school underserved students living in South King County an opportunity to take violin or viola lessons. For more information, visit their website at keytochangestudio.org. Now, back to Unmute the Voices.
All right, so let's turn to talk about classical music. As you know, Unmute the Voices is a show that highlights the excellence of people of color who are both performers and composers in classical music. Classical music is a musical genre that has been predominantly people from more European, white, and Asian communities. And over the last 4 years, George Floyd era, more classical music organizations are expressing an interest in diversifying their audience. As a non-classical music audience listener, assuming that that's what you are, in your own words, tell organizations exactly what they need to do in order to get people who go to Hey Black Seattle in the doors of their concerts.
I would classify myself as probably like a non-classical music listener. Like I'm a fan, but I can't hit you with all the like, and this is my favorite, concerto.
And you know what? Most people can't. Even those who are listening to classical music every day, they can't tell the difference between Beethoven 1 and Beethoven 8.
Okay. But it's like I have a deep appreciation for what classical music is for our spirits and our brain chemistry and all the wonderful things that come with learning it, playing it, and listening to it. It's a beautiful part of the experience for us as human beings. And I have a relationship to classical music in that I was a founding board member for the Live Music Project, which is in essence, kind of like a community calendar-based organization that finds out about all the different performances of classical music. And it's like not just the big performance halls, but all the community choirs and orchestras and trios and quartets. The founder, Shia Lyon, is a great friend of mine. And when Shia got this inspiration, like, there's a piece of music I want to hear, and she set out about building this organization, and it's been going for several years now. So I've been up close to the classical music community as a person who was there as that organization was being birthed. So I'm drawing from my time going to classical music performances as part of the team for Live Music Project. And I think that this will surprise no one. There is a stuffiness to the experience that is like people like to have fun when they are experiencing music, and some of the social and cultural audience performance norms are just
get on my nerves.
It's like the things that we are expecting. Like when I mean, we're going to be moved by music and we must not clap. It's like, oh, come on. Like, I think that some of these things are very
ridiculous. I'm going to say it.
It's ridiculous, and it's just in the opposite direction of how a lot of the people that I hang with would like to enjoy something. If we're going to enjoy, can I express? I am an effusive, expressive person. So it's like, okay, fine, I'll sit here if that's what we must. But wouldn't you rather know that was lit? Like, yes. Wouldn't you rather hear me make a little can I snap like we had a poetry performance? Can I at least do a little bit of that? So it's like this, to have that association with like emotional and expressive containment is unattractive. It's unattractive. So I think that just one thing is like just not coming for people if they express in the space, just because I think that these are very ancient entertainment norms that we're working with, and maybe it's just time to just let people be.
I agree. I think there is a disconnection between the music that is being performed that creates the human experience and the perceived experience of how you were supposed to behave. And so, you know, I remember when I was performing, I had an all-string octet called the Young Eight. It was an all-black string octet.
This gets to another point I need to make, but you go on.
But what I was going to say is we did a Black college tour one year. The best part was when people would scream out, "You better play it." Yes. And we ate it up. It was like the energy, like you're playing off of the energy of the audience. And it inspired us and it motivated us in those moments to even go deeper with the music, because we knew that the audience was right there with us. And when there's dialogue between the artist on stage and the audience, that's, in my opinion, when the real art and music making starts to happen.
But when you said all Black, that's another part of it. I would love to have opportunities to see people who look like me, if be very blunt, on a stage doing their thing, or people who look like a lot of people.
Yes.
Not necessarily just one flavor of human, one or two. It's like that is also a turnoff. It's like you will, if people from my community are not involved,
right?
Who am I supporting? I would love to support people from my community and be able to clap and cheer for them. And when I think about Black youth and how, at least how I understood or had experience with instrumentation as a young person, it started with bands. And that experience it's a full body experience. So that's what I'm used to seeing. So it has this mental thing where it's like, oh, I saw Black people with instruments all the time. Both of my brothers played the trumpet. Like I saw Black people with instruments all the time, and then up to a point, and then it's just all of a sudden, where they at? They have to choose another path. They can't do that. They got to go playing another kind of thing.
Do you think though that people who might not know much about classical music, if they learned about the stories that were experienced by people of color who wrote classical music, do you think that people might change their perception of how they listen, or even just their engagement with classical music?
That possibly. There's another bit of relationship that I have to the music is I am in a performance trio with an opera singer named Stephanie Ann Ball, and a pianist named Jessica Evosha Hall. And
Jessica, I know Jessica. She was a little girl.
Jessica is so talented.
Shout out to Jessica. Period.
Yes, I love it. So we have we've done 2 years of this now, but Stephanie, our opera, beautiful songstress, she curates shows that are centered around Black composers or Black spirituals. And it's just, we're able to bring a classical music performance, and I'm the orator, so I tell stories and I do poetry. We bring these stories together with this music. And it's just because Stephanie continually brings that kind of focus to it, I'm like, there's so much music. I get awareness of how much we do have involved. Like the catalog is there, but the awareness. So I love being a part of a trio that is bringing some awareness to that, and that's largely due to Stephanie curating these experiences for us. But I do think that people appreciate it. Every time we do one of those shows, people are like, this was a beautiful experience. There's no difference of like, oh, well, that was very like different in Black. It's
Different in Black.
It's like, it was beautiful. It was impactful. They talk about how they felt. But I'm just happy to know that the music is there. The music is there.
I'm curious. Let's go with me on this. This is a crazy question.
Let me see what you're doing.
So let's say that there's a non-POC individual who's really interested in confronting their internalized racism, but is too afraid to utter the words out loud to themselves. I am a racist and I need to deal with my stuff. What would you say to them to help them have the courage to deal with their internalized demons?
I think the first thing that person would need to do is zoom out. Zoom out a little bit, because you're looking at yourself and you have this racist label and you're taking it on as this specific and personal failure to you, without acknowledging the broader context that you were born into, and that we all were born into. And so kind of de-escalating the emotional, like, self-beating that we're giving ourselves. Like, okay, we all have to be accountable for how we're showing up in this space of earth together, but the educating of how you got to this place will probably make you dial down some of the, I don't want to call it self-hatred, but there's something in there, just like we're going to beat ourselves up about it. If you actually zoom out and look at what America is, what the world is, kind of how white supremacy, how all the systems of oppression work to program us in a certain way, then you can start to kind of depersonalize this, realize that you are just a human, and you are susceptible to all the same conditionings as any other human. So if your conditioning dropped a whole bunch of racist ingredients in you, we can't get them out until you accept that they are there. So your lack of acceptance that those things are a part of you will stand in the way of your progress. So accepting that, yes, as I grew up, from the time I was a child, racist ingredients were dropped into the soup of me. I can't get them out until I have the bravery to pause and say, okay, this happened. This happened. This is part of my life. This is who I've been made into because of things that were given to me from society. Shame about this, fear about that. You gotta be willing to accept that happened before you can actually start taking the stuff out and decreasing it. Because I don't say take it out means like you'll fully be free of it at some point. Every person who goes through a journey of self-discovery and is like, I want to do less harm to other people, it's going to be very hard, because we have done a number on ourselves as a people to pour a whole bunch of harmful things into us. And so you just have to be willing to continually be pulling those ingredients out. And you can only do that if you will learn, educate yourself. You gotta read. Don't just look at clips on Instagram, little 30-second little sound bites. A sound bite a day ain't gonna do it. You actually need to like go visit some texts. People have left us some blueprints about what has happened here. And so we can read those things and start to know like, oh, this is what I was taught in school.
Wow. Well, let's just say that you were an ancestor from the 18th or 19th century, and you met one of our youth, maybe a Black youth of today, who was like struggling with their self-esteem and their identity. What would you say to them? What sort of advice would you give them?
Well, first I would remind them, if they don't already know, that they are a miracle. Every single Black person that you see is a walking miracle. You're looking at a miracle right now, and so am I. Because for each generation of people that had to survive, all the things that they had to survive that made it possible for us to even be born, we are a miraculous people, each and every one of us. So if I was an ancestor, I would remind that baby first, if they didn't already know, your whole existence is a miracle. And you only get one time in this particular miraculous human form that you're sitting in. If you believe in reincarnation, I don't know what you're going to come back as. Maybe you're a tree or a flower, but this particular time, you have this unique set of capabilities, mind, physical form, all these things. You have this one life right here. Don't waste it. Don't waste it thinking about what other people are perceiving you to be. Just like really get in here, acknowledge and accept that you are a miraculous human being and you deserve to go live out your potential. So go do that. Go do that.
Wow. That, as you were speaking, I was thinking about my mom, who used to always tell me when I was a child that I was a miracle. And I was her miracle baby because my mom didn't believe she could ever have children. And that just, that really just touched me, and so I received that. I felt like that was just for me.
And
I'm not a youth anymore, but yeah.
Every opportunity I get to be in front of Black people, I want to tell them that and say those words out loud because I believe it so deep in my heart. When I went to the African American History Museum in D.C. And you begin that first part of the journey where you feel like you're in the belly of a ship. And it's just like, even that's not even the beginning of the miraculousness. It's like even that journey across all the things that happen to us, the fact that you get separated. Those, our ancestors got separated from family. We don't often talk about the human and emotional impact of being removed from your family and then sent away, and the family that's left behind that is now grappling with having lost someone that was in their life that they loved. So you come, and now you just take us through these just years and years and years of opportunities to die. Years. And then you just keep on going. I think about even more recent history in my family and the levels of violence and abuse that many of the women in my family have survived and endured. And they held on long enough for my mama to have me. All those generations of people living just long enough for the next person to be born, for the next person to be born, for somehow a whole me is sitting here. And I'm like,
wow.
Oh, baby, I can fly on that. Like, I have so much more than so many people in my lineage had to work with. I have all the strength that they didn't just pass down year after year. You really can't tell me much.
And that is Black excellence. Period.
Boop.
I love it. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
What a blessing. Wow. That was great.
I so appreciate the opportunity to talk my talk.
You didn't just talk it. That was a life lesson in just being human. Even when you and I become ancestors and this video lives on past us, it is a reminder in what it means to be human. Thank you. Thank you so much for being on this show, and all the best to you.
Thank you. Received.
Yes, yes. And thank you as well for watching this episode of Unmute the Voices. I'm Dr. Quinton Morris, and I hope you enjoy your day.